Hey everybody, it's Read Comics 81 back with another video. And shout out to Beauty Comics. This is a tag video, top 50 books in your collection that Beauty started. And if you're not subbed up to Beauty Comics, do yourself a favor and give him a sub. He's a real fun guy to watch, real passionate about the hobby, and he picks up some amazing books. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to his top 50 video down in the description box below. And I'm going to put a little twist on my video. This is actually going to be the top 10 Marvel Bronze Age books in my collection. And that's going to be, I call the Bronze Age between 1970 and 1984. So that's where these books are going to fall. And they're not going to be in any specific order, just kind of in a random order. So let's go ahead and get started with a bang, though. And the first book I'm going to show is The Incredible Hulk number 181, first appearance of Wolverine. Okay, next book is The Incredible Hulk number 172, and this retells the origin of the Juggernaut, and I actually have 2 copies of that. Okay, next book up is Amazing Spider-Man number 78, and this is the first appearance of the Prowler. Okay, next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 113, and this is the first appearance of Hammerhead. Nice high-grade copy of this book. Okay, next book up is Marvel Team Up number 15, and this is the first appearance of the Orb. He is a prominent villain of Ghost Riders, and I actually have 2 copies of that, 1 high grade and 1 mid grade. All right, moving right along. Got Captain America number 193. This is Jack Kirby's return to Marvel Comics. Awesome cover, and I have 2 copies of that as well. All right, moving along. We've got Marvel Feature number 1, first appearance of the Defenders. Good book to have. Okay, next up I've got The Incredible Hulk number 168. This is the first appearance of the Harpy. Not a very expensive book. It can go for a little bit of money, but this is a high-grade copy, and I just love this cover. I think the Harpy is an awesome villain, and I love this Herb Trimp art, and I love the colors on this cover. So one of my favorite books. Okay, next up is Fantastic Four number 112. Another awesome cover. One of the big Thing versus Hulk battles. And I also have the reprint, the Marvel's Greatest Comics reprint of this. And this is actually a Mark Jewelers version of this. So yeah, another awesome book. Excuse me. Next up, I have Spidey Super Stories number 1. And I have 2 high-grade copies. Whoops. 2 high-grade copies of that book as well. One of my favorite series. Okay, coming up next, we've got the Savage She-Hulk number 1. Won this book in a contest, so this was free. Doesn't get any better than that. Next up, iconic cover, Bob Layton, Iron Man number 128, the classic Demon in a Bottle cover. High grade 1979 direct edition copy of that. Okay. Moving along, Marvel Premiere number 28. First appearance of the Legion of Monsters in comic book form. This book has blown up lately. I paid $70 for this. This is a high-grade copy of this. Worth a lot more than that now. All right, coming up next, another one of my favorite books, Power Man and Iron Fist number 50. This is the book where the title changes over from just Power Man to Power Man and Iron Fist. Awesome cover, significant comic book. Love this book. Next up, I have The Invaders number 7, high-grade copy of this. This is the first appearance of Baron Blood. Okay. Next, got the Uncanny X-Men number 121, high-grade copy of this. This is the first full appearance of Alpha Flight. Apologize for all the glare, guys. Most of these books are going to be in Mylar. Next book up we have is Daredevil number 168, first appearance of Elektra with the misspelling on the cover. One of my favorite covers. Love that lightning. I love the silhouette of Elektra lit up like that. Beautiful cover. Next up, got 2001 A Space Odyssey number 8, first appearance of Machine Man, although he goes by the name of Mr. Machine in this comic. I've got a high grade copy there, lower grade copy there, and a mid grade copy there. Yeah, good book to have there. This book has been steadily climbing over the past couple of years in value. All right, next up, I've got Giant Size Spider-Man number 2. This is Giant Size Spider-Man and Master of Kung Fu. This is the first time that Spider-Man meets Shang-Chi. And I'm pretty sure it's the first time that Shang-Chi appears in a title that is not Master of Kung Fu. So a good book to have. Next up, Giant Size Creatures number 1, featuring Werewolf by Night. This is the first appearance of Tigra. Nice high grade copy of this. Always check for the Marvel value stamp when you're buying this book, guys. I got burned on that once before. Okay, next up, Incredible Hulk number 180. First cameo appearance of Wolverine. Awesome book. Let's go ahead and throw a slab into the mix. Next, I've got Marvel Spotlight number 5. First appearance of Ghost Rider. This is a CGC 4.0 with off-white to white pages. Beautiful book. Love having this book in my collection. Okay, next up, Daredevil number 131. First appearance of Bullseye. Bullseye never misses. Awesome cover. Love this book. All right, next up, Amazing Spider-Man number 101. First appearance of Morbius. Cover's detached on this, but I got this for $10 at a used bookstore. Not a bad deal at all on that book. All right, next up, Marvel Team Up number 40. This is the first appearance of Sons of the Tiger in comic book form. I just love this cover. To me, this cover just screams Bronze Age Marvel. Love it so much. And I have 4 raw copies of this book. And I also have a CGC 9. What is it? I think it's a 9.4 of this book also. Forgot to get that down out of my room to show in this video. But yeah, there's those. Next up, Uncanny X-Men number 130. First appearance of the Dazzler. Got this at a garage sale for $25. Kind of high grade. I'd probably put this at about a 7.5 or an 8. Next up, another book that has blown up recently. Star Wars number 1. Got this at Second and Charles for $15 about 4 years ago or so. Nice book. All right, next up, Marvel 2-in-1 number 1. High grade copy of this. First time the Thing appears in his own title. Well, kind of like his own title. He shares it with other characters, but I still call it his own title because he's in every issue. So yeah, beautiful copy of this. Okay, here's a book that I showed in my top Conan books in my collection. This is Chamber of Darkness number 4. This is the Conan prototype issue. Good book to have. Okay, next up, The Man Called Nova number 1. And I actually have 2 copies of that book. All right, coming up next. Here's one that is not an expensive book, but it's significant. It's got a lot of history, and I really like this cover. Bought this off the newsstand when I was a kid, and off the spinner rack, rather. This is Marvel Superhero Contest of Champions number 1, and this is the very first miniseries that Marvel ever produced. And really cool book. Awesome Bob Layton cover. I think that's Bob Layton. Is that Bob Layton? John Romita Jr. and Bob Layton. Yeah. So, yeah, I love that book. All right, coming up next, The Eternals, #1. This book really fell off after that movie, but still a good book to have in your PC. All right. Next book I have is Incredible Hulk 162, First Wendigo. I did not know this, but this book is a pretty expensive book. In high grade, this book can go for hundreds of dollars. I'm not really sure why, if it's spec or if it's a white cover. I have no idea, but yeah, really good book to have. I think I paid $50 for this like 3 or 4 years ago. All right, coming up next, John Carter, Warlord of Mars, #18, and this is Frank Miller's first art at Marvel. High grade copy of that. Got that for $1 at Second and Charles. Okay, another book that's gotten expensive. The Avengers, #80, first appearance of the Red Wolf. Just a bunch of spec on this character, I guess. I don't know, but I've had this book for a long time. Just a book that I like. All right. Up next is Mighty Thor, #225, first appearance of the Fire Lord. Good book. I've got a lot of copies of this one, guys. Let me just go ahead and start lining them up. Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, #9. Awesome George Perez cover. First appearance of the White Tiger in comics. First Hispanic superhero. And yeah, I've got all these copies. I don't think I paid more than $10 for any of them. $5, $10. A couple of them were dollar books. I also have the Whitman edition. And my favorite, the 35-cent price variant that I got at a convention. So yeah, this book has gotten really expensive lately. And it's got nowhere to go but up, in my opinion. Next up, Marvel Team Up #1. First Spider-Man team up in a title. This is significant because up until this point, Spider-Man had always been seen as a loner. But then this series came out and, he teams up with everybody and he starts becoming more of like a team player, I guess. All right, next up, Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, #64, first appearance of Cloak and Dagger, a book that I bought when I was a kid off the spinner rack. And love this Ed Hannigan cover. Just a really cool book, cool characters. And I got that for $1 5 or 6 years ago. Next up is one of my favorite covers of all time. Another book I bought off the spinner rack, guys. Wolverine, #1. Just awesome Frank Miller cover. And just love this book. For me, if you're a Marvel fan or a Wolverine fan or just a good art fan, this is like a must-have for your collection right here. All right, next up is Wolverine's first solo cover appearance, and that is the X-Men #133. This is a book that's gotten a lot of attention recently as well. Okay, next up, Marvel Universe #1. The reason this is in my top 50 video is because this is the first time that we see like encyclopedia style, a comic book that's like encyclopedia style that shows the characters, their history, their powers, their first appearance. And this series just spawned a whole bunch of follow-up series from Marvel, and DC put out Who's Who shortly after this. And this was just a really cool thing at the time it came out. It had never been done before. So, yeah, I really like this series. All right, next up is a big book, literally, and one of my favorite books and favorite covers, and that is Superman versus Spider-Man. Awesome book. Got this for $40 shipped, high grade. Couldn't believe the deal I got on this, and it's always been one of my favorite books. Okay, winding it down, guys. Got a stack of some big books to show. Special Marvel Edition 15, first Shang-Chi. What else can you say? Just an awesome key book to have. Speaking of awesome key books, Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, #1. Beautiful cover. One of my favorite books. Got that for $16 about, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. It's been a while, but this was back before all the movie spec and books were actually really cheap back then. I wish I would have bought more keys back then. Glad to have this one, though. Next up, Amazing Spider-Man #194, First Black Cat. I have two 1979 direct editions. Paid $60 for this, paid $1 for this one. Good books to have. And the last 5 books I'm going to show. Conan the Barbarian #1, one of my favorite characters, so one of my favorite books in my collection. Can't go wrong with this book. Beautiful cover. Another Conan book, #23, first appearance of Red Sonja. Marvel Premiere, #15, first appearance of Iron Fist. And the last book I'm going to show, guys, in my top 50 Marvel Bronze Age books in my collection is the very tail end of the Bronze Age of Marvel, and that is Amazing Spider-Man, #252, first appearance of the black costume. And we all know how significant this black costume becomes later on, and I have a high-grade direct and a high-grade newsstand edition of that book. Also a book that I bought when I was a kid right off the spinner rack. So there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all next time. Oh, and let me go ahead and just tag everybody. If you're watching this video, you are tagged. I would love to see your top 50 books in your collection. This is Read Comics 81 signing out. Happy hunting, everybody. Bye.